If adults are like this and struggle with managing their emotions and feeling emotionally overwhelmed at times, we can't expect children to be any different, and certainly not better at it. Hello and welcome to Little Learners. School is back in session, and that means so are after-school meltdowns, or as they're also known, after-school restraint collapse. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what that means, why it happens, and how you can help your child through it. Before we get started, are you subscribed? Lots of people think they are, but they actually aren't, so do take a look at the subscribe button, click it if you haven't already, and if you find this video helpful, please do give it a like at any point during the video, as it really helps out the channel. Also, if you're interested in becoming a member of the Little Learners YouTube channel and getting exclusive perks, you can find out more by clicking the join button down below or looking for the link in the description box. So, after school restraint collapse. What is it? You go to pick up your child from school. Their teacher says they've had a great day, they've been happy, they've had a good time, and they seem happy. But then, when you get home, or maybe in the car, or maybe even during the walk home from school, all of a sudden your child has a meltdown. It might be over nothing, it might be over the smallest thing, but they lose control. And you're left thinking, what on earth is going on? And this can happen every day. Your child might be crying, shouting, screaming, hitting, throwing things, running off. But why is this happening? It's important to remember that this kind of meltdown, this restraint collapse, children aren't doing it on purpose. They really have no control over what's going on in their little bodies at that moment. After school restraint collapse is a response to being emotionally overwhelmed, holding in emotions and managing their behaviour really well during the day. Then, when the child feels like they're in a safe space, so at home or even just with you, they can finally relax, they're out of school, and they can let it all out. But why is your child so emotionally overwhelmed after school? Well, let's think about a typical school day for a small child. They have a lot to think about. They have routines, so they get into school, put their bags away, sit on the carpet. Maybe they have a job to do when they're on the carpet. They have the register. Maybe they have register monitors and they're wondering if it's going to be them that day. The teacher might be giving out stickers for certain things and they're wondering, am I going to get the sticker? Your child has other routines during the day to remember. What day we have PE on, or we're having assembly today, or today we go to a different classroom for music, or we have a library session today. All of these different things, all of this admin going on in your little child's head. They also have countless instructions given to them throughout the day that they need to remember, and there might be things that they really don't want to do, so maybe they need to do some writing and they really don't want to, but they do it because they're at school and they have to. But all of these things are building up these little suppressed emotions within your child. There are also things that teachers and other adults probably don't even notice, like your child wanting to play with a certain friend, but that friend is playing with someone else, or your child being in the line for lunch and someone cuts in front of them and no teacher notices. The injustice of it is really frustrating. There also might be things like your child has misplaced their glove and they're looking for it and they're worried that they've lost it, and then they spend half of playtime looking for it, so they miss half of playtime. There's so many different things that can happen during your child's day that can seem really small and even insignificant, but they mean a lot to your child, and all of these things that are happening, all of these events have a corresponding emotion to them. And your child is learning how to regulate their emotions and modify their behaviour so that it's appropriate for school. Sounds exhausting, right? And that's because it is. So not only is your child emotionally overwhelmed, they are also tired. They are physically tired from everything they've had to do that day, and they are mentally exhausted from all of the behaviour management that they've had to be doing. So when your child finally gets to a safe space, that might be home or you, they can relax and they can let it all go. They're out of school now and the emotions come out. They can't hold them in forever. And this is what we mean when we talk about after school restraint collapse. That restraint, it can't last forever. It collapses and they just have a meltdown. Now, I'm sure many of you watching know adults who have trouble regulating their own emotions and managing their own behaviour appropriately. Maybe you've seen an adult in a supermarket who's angry about something and is shouting at someone in customer service. Or you know someone who, if they come home from work and they've had a really stressful day, they come home in a bad mood and they slam the cupboards when they're making a cup of tea. If adults are like this and struggle with managing their emotions and feeling emotionally overwhelmed at times, we can't expect children to be any different and certainly not better at it. So it stands to reason that children would then have this kind of meltdown, this release of emotions at the end of the day when they're in their safe space. Now, I know I've said it already, but it's important to remember that children are not doing this on purpose, and a lot of the time they don't really have any control about what they're doing. So, for example, my own son, if he's having a kind of after-school meltdown, through tears, he will often say to me, "I don't know why I'm doing this." And it's heartbreaking, really, because they're just trying so hard and eventually it just collapses and they have to let it all go. So what can you do to help your child with this situation? The first thing to remember is that this is very normal. I'm making this video because it affects so many children, so many families. Particularly at the beginning of the school year when there are lots of new faces, new routines, new environments. It's very overwhelming. It can be very overstimulating. So the first thing you can do is when you meet your child at school or as soon as you get home, give them a healthy snack and a drink to try and bring those energy levels back up a little bit and give them some calm time. So this might be reading a book, listening to music, watching a calm TV show, definitely not against some calm screen time after school, or doing something else they enjoy, like playing a board game or drawing or anything else they find very calming and relaxing. We all need that time to decompress after a day of work, and children are no different. Another thing you can do is to save your questions until later. As parents, we want to know everything that our child has been doing at school, but if you start bombarding them with questions as soon as they leave the classroom, that's only going to make them feel more overwhelmed. So maybe just stick to, did you have a nice day? They might just say yes, they might tell you more, they might say no, and then leave the rest of your questions until a bit later, until after they've had some of that rest time. Now, I know that for some children, they might have clubs after school, classes after school that they have to go to, so you don't get to have that calm time at home if you're having to go straight to swimming lessons, for example. So just make sure you have that snack, that drink, make the transition from school to that club or session as calm as possible, and then give them more calm time when you do get home. We also want to make sure we're giving our children time for connection with us. So when they are feeling more calm, feeling more regulated, then you might do an activity with them, whether that's playing with them with their toys, doing some cooking with them, doing some arts and crafts, a board game again. Can you tell we love a board game in this house? Anything that allows you and your child to connect, and you can chat then about school or anything else they want to talk about. A really important thing to remember is that we need to support our children through these after-school meltdowns rather than scolding them. So it can be difficult after a long day at work or a long day looking after another child or whatever it is you're doing. You're probably tired, and so it's difficult for you to regulate your emotions in response to this meltdown. But it's important to keep in mind they're not doing it on purpose and that they need co-regulation. They can't regulate themselves at the moment, and even as adults we need co-regulation sometimes. So they need that calm, soothing presence from you. They need to know that you're there. Even if they are kicking off and they're screaming and they're shouting, you are staying calm and they know that you are there for them. If your child is speaking to you in a rude way, or they're hurting someone, or they are throwing things, then obviously we need to make sure that everyone is safe in that moment. But the conversation about how they were talking to you, or the hitting or anything like that, that's not going to be productive during that meltdown time. So make sure everyone is safe. You can say things like, I can't let you do that because that is not safe. And then later, when they've calmed down, have a talk about those behaviours. But while they're having the meltdown, it's just not going to happen. So you need to support them through it. Identify the emotions that they're feeling. Tell them, I can see you're feeling really frustrated, you're really angry. I can tell that you're probably quite tired, is that right? And just help them feel like they're not alone, because in that moment of feeling out of control of their own emotions, they can feel really alone. They just need to know that someone is there to give them a hug and to love them and to support them through it. And I'm not saying that that's easy. You can't always just give them a hug and calm them down, but it's important to, as much as you can, keep your cool. And then when everything's done and they're having their calm time, you can just step away for a moment, have a cup of tea, or scream into a pillow, or however you regulate your emotions. You can do that for yourself as well. Now, of course, if after-school meltdowns are getting way too out of control, they are seriously negatively impacting your child and your family life, then you can certainly ask for support. You can talk to the teacher, see what's going on at school during the day that might be causing them to be so upset and overwhelmed, and see if there's something you can do there. Teachers will often have a lot of advice, and they will know your child and their specific circumstances, so they'll be able to give you some more tailored advice for them. So I hope this video has been helpful. I know that a lot of parents watching this right now are right in the trenches of after-school meltdowns, and it is really hard. I hope this video has helped you to realise that it is normal, that you are not doing anything wrong, and there are things you can do to support your child through it. And I think understanding why it happens can also make it a lot easier for us as adults to help our child and co-regulate with them, because we understand where it's coming from. Don't forget, if you did find this video helpful, to give it a like. It really helps out the channel, and if you haven't already, do click the subscribe button. If you have any tips for other parents and caregivers about after-school meltdowns, then do leave them, share them in the comments down below, and I will see you next time.